Hello, this is Gary from pythonstudent.com, and in this screencast I want to talk about functions in Python. Functions are very common in almost all programming languages, and they all specifically perform the same kind of function. They give you, the programmer, the ability to put several lines of code together inside a module called a function, or a method if it's used with a class, that will run some sort of subtask of the entire program. This particular example, I've got a program I've written called funtions101.py, and in there I have two functions. One function accepts no parameters and returns no values. That's the first one, called no return. The second function is called return value. This one accepts two parameters that will be passed to it, and with those two parameters they're added and a single value is returned back to the call point. If we go down to the program, the functions must be documented first. This for declaration is one of the considerations you have to have for Python. This program, when it executes, will actually store these two functions in memory and start processing on line 14, but they have to be declared before they're called. If they're not, you're going to get a syntax error. If you don't believe me, move this start of the Python program above the define statement and you'll find you get an error. Alright, so the way this program will work, it first calls the no return function, which is documented with a def statement, the function name. It has no parameters inside the parentheses and a semicolon. Because it's Python, all of the statements that belong to this function must be indebted to the same level. This particular function, when called, will simply print function no return called. It next adds, it actually initializes a variable called value1, puts a 1 in it, and then in the next statement it creates a new variable called answer that will simply call the return value function, pass it whatever is in value 1, which is a 1, and also the number 2. The point here is that you can pass either variables or numeric constants to functions that work weakly as well. So up here, here's return value. The value that's stored in value 1, or a 1, will equal 1, and 2 will equal the 2 that I'm passing it. It'll print out this short message, and then it'll simply return back to the call point whatever 1 plus 2 is, or the number is 1 plus the number 2 or 3. What should happen here is on the next statement, print will want to see what's stored in that variable, so what should come is a value of 3 printed to the screen. I'm using Text Wrangler on my Macintosh for this particular example, so let me see if I can run this and get it inside our screen for us, and you can see the answer. Lo and behold, here's the call of the first function, here's the call of the second function, there's that actual value. Logout is part of the terminal display that's visible on my Macintosh. What I would do is use the debugger that comes with Python, any one of the IDEs, or use idle. And also, don't be afraid to mix these lines of code around. If you understand how they work, you should be able to move the lines of code around and either still have it work or deliberately break it. One example I gave you earlier is simply take the start lines, or the program here, stick it above the def statement, and see what happens. This is how we learn programming languages. If you have any questions, post them on the blog. Thank you.